end of class.
No, it is
We do live
not.
in America.
This is democracy.
What does that have to do with anything?
Wait.
What does that have to do with anything?
That means we should vote.
You're a racist. I win.
Really?
Whenever you're in an argument, just call the person a racist.
Yeah.
Argument over. Okay. I introduced to you the justifications for why the United States decided to invade Iraq in 2003. And now I'm going to show you why the Iraqis thought the Americans were invading Iraq in 2003. Here's what we said. Here's what they said. And so oftentimes, you're going to hear me say this again and again in this class, it's not reality that's important, it's perception. Perception being more important than reality. If everyone thinks that here are the reasons, then the invasion becomes unjustified. If they believed this stuff, then the Iraqis would say, well, okay, I kind of see it. But here's what they said. Now, before I show you, anyone want to take a guess? Why do you think Iraqis said, oh, that's why the Americans are invading here?
Oil.
Very good. Take our oil. That's exactly right. Now, again, that what I mean by that's exactly right is that's exactly right that they thought that. Now, what we can do is from a position of 2019, we can look back and say, well, did we take their oil?
Yeah.
If their belief is valid, we can say so right now. Did the United States take Iraqi oil? And the answer is no, we didn't. It's a nationalized product. The oil mined in, is that the right word? Mined? Drilled for in Iraq is owned by the nation Iraq. It is a nationalized company. The United States does not buy oil in large part from the Middle East. Anyone want to take a shot here? Where do we get most of our oil?
North Dakota.
From us. That's exactly right. Thank you, fracking. The United States gets most of its oil from us. Number 2 is Canada. Number 3 is Mexico.
No, it ain't.
Okay. Anyone else? Take another shot. Why else do you think they think the U.S. invaded? Go ahead.
So if you think fracking's so good, would you allow us to put
Persian
one
Gulf
right in your
War.
yard?
Anyone else have another guess?
Yes.
Good.
It goes to-
Very good. That's exactly right. And again, what I mean by exactly right is that's what they thought. They thought, the Iraqis thought, the Americans were there to spread Christianity and they were Muslim. Now, again, what we can do is from now, looking back, we can say, is that true? Did the United States try and spread Christianity to Iraq? And the answer is no. No. So they're 0 for 2. Anyone else? Pretty good guesses, actually. All right, so this has to do with what he said. This map you're looking at are a series of wars called the Crusades. It's when Christians invaded the Middle East to try and spread Christianity. Well, to Iraqis, that's what's going on. The invading Crusaders are trying to spread their religion here. And again, we can look back and say, that's not true. But again, it doesn't matter if it's true or not. It's what they believed. That's what matters. Number 2 is oil. You are looking at the largest depository without fracking on Earth.
It used to be.
What?
They're running dry now.
I think they have a few hundred years left. I think they'll be fine.
I don't think
Actually, the largest oil in the world is in Russia, but it's under permafrost. They can't get to it. Amount of oil produced. Saudi Arabia is by far and away the largest producer of oil in the Middle East. But here's Iraq. It's a lot of oil. Okay.
they can use seismic.
And then I am now showing you a word that we need to memorize this sentence. The sentence goes like this. Ready? It goes on like this. The Imam issued a fatwa for jihad. The Imam issued a fatwa for jihad. Everyone, the Imam issued a fatwa for jihad. Again, the Imam issued a fatwa for jihad. To the roof. The Imam issued a fatwa for jihad. To your neighbor. The Imam, come on. The imam issued a fatwa for jihad. To the floor. Ready? The imam issued a fatwa for jihad. I guarantee that this test question will be on the next test, which is the Persian Gulf War test. The question will look like this, a question mark. That will be the question, and the answer, which you will have to type, is the imam issued a fatwa for jihad.
How are we spelled?
Like, how do you spell that?
T-H-A-T. A-T. That is how you spell that.
How do you spell the I'm on?
What I love is that she wrote every letter. Okay? Let's just take that sentence and break it down. Okay? Imam means holy man. Muslim, holy Muslim religion, a holy man is called an imam. I-M-A-M. Imam. Issued a fatwa. F-A-T-W-A. There's this wa, and it's overweight. It is a fatwa. For jihad, which means struggle. The imam issued a fatwa for jihad. The Muslim holy man gave a religious order to fight.
A crusade.
Okay? So, this is 2003. 2 years previous to this, something happened.
What was
The
that?
Americans focused on that for a while. 2 years later, the United States military said, that's it. The Iraqis are violating the agreement of the previous war. They are interrupting UN inspections. We're going to invade. And they did. And then, in response to the American invasion, the imam issued a fatwa for jihad. The religious holy man gave a religious order to all Muslims, fight the Americans. Now, I'm wondering if any of you know who this imam is.
I don't know. I feel like 10 of them.
Yeah, there are many, but which one in particular am I referring to here?
Like the 11th century.
What? Osama bin Laden, who's busy in Afghanistan. Afghanistan is over here. He is fighting the Americans in Afghanistan. And then the Americans invade Iraq for totally different reasons. He then issues this order. He thinks he's a religious holy man. By the way, 99% of Muslims said he isn't an imam, but he thought he was. The imam issued a fatwa for jihad, and this starts a secondary conflict. Now, before I continue, allow me to say this. All of you, yes, have studied the American Civil War to some level of success. Yes, we've all studied the American Civil War. So I'm going to say things, and you should say, yeah, I knew that. That in the American Civil War, the Union Army defeated the Confederate Army. Am I blowing anyone's mind yet? That was the easy part. The hard part was when the Union Army had to take on another group. Do you know?
The KKK.
Very good, the KKK. That was the hard part. The Confederate Army, piece of cake. They have uniforms, easy to identify them. They're meeting in fields of battle. The Union Army had overwhelming numbers, easy. The Confederacy surrendered. The members of the Confederacy got rid of their Confederate Army uniform and put on the white robe. And then they rode at night. And then they did their terrorist attacks. And that was tough. Same thing here. The U.S. military takes on the Iraqi military, piece of cake. A few weeks. But then the Iraqi army surrendered, and then the trouble began. Just like after the Confederacy surrendered, the trouble began because the KKK started. After the Iraqi army surrendered is when the trouble began because the imam issued a fatwa for jihad. And these Iraqis, many of them thought, legit order, I'm going to obey it. So we're gonna think about that more and more later. Last slide here. After I'm done with this slide, the reason I'm giving you a nice chunk of time is there's a paper due today. Take that back.
Oh, I knew that.
Take it back.
I did that.
Very good. And also, I believe a few of you haven't done the Cold War test. You should take care of that as well. Remember, if you're not done with the paper today, it's all right. It just goes in as a 0 until you do it. Okay, right?
There's a paper.
Take that back.
There's a paper.
Take it back. Unsay what you said.
Which paper are you talking
Delete.
about? Delete what?
You said delete. Okay.
What?
I am showing you a fairly interesting bar graph. This shows the history of the United Nations, how many vetoes have ever been issued and by what country over the course of the Cold War. So you can see that early on, Team Red was the winner as far as number of vetoes, over 30.
That's the
Team Red, total. Oh yeah, total. Never mind. Purple, Soviet Union, most vetoes. That makes sense. The United States tried to use the United Nations to wage various conflicts, and the Soviets were like, veto, 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 veto.
Veto.
United
Veto.
States is in blue, so we
Veto.
had pretty good years too in the 70s and 80s. And you'll notice the end of the Cold War sort of led to the end of using vetoes as a thing.
Is that like a good-
The reason I'm pointing this out to you is because in 2003, the U.S. said Iraq is violating the UN agreement. They're violating it. Hey, UN! Hey, UN! Tell Iraq if they don't start letting you inspect all these places, you'll go to war with them. The UN will go to war. And man, if there's one thing that strikes fear into countries, it's the UN flag. That was said with sarcasm. The UN was asked by the US to basically declare war against Iraq. And the UN said no. And I'm wondering if any of you could figure out why. I'll give you a clue. The specific countries that said no were France and Russia. So the United States went to France and said, hey, we want the UN to basically order Iraq to allow uninterrupted UN inspections. And France said, allez, no. Why? Why would France thwart an American attempt to hold Iraq accountable? What's in it for France? Any guesses? It's a former French colony? No, but that's a really good guess. Yeah.
It isn't those.
Very good. Ethan Greener having a good day. France's primary partner for acquiring oil in the Middle East is Iraq. If they authorize, if they give their blessing to the UN, basically telling Iraq, hey, stop interrupting, Iraq will be mad at France and Iraq will stop trading with France. Same thing with Russia. Okay, so it says here, France and Russia threatened to veto any war resolution. So basically the United States says, fine, we don't need the UN. We'll just do it ourselves. And that's when the United States decided to unilaterally hold Iraq accountable. Do you understand that the previous time that the United States confronted Iraq was in 1990-91, and that was truly a we. We, the world, did it. About half of that force was American. The other half was everyone else. This was different. And I'll show you later on who made up this military adjustment, but it sure wasn't we. It was us and kind of Britain. That was about it. Okay. Any questions before? We're good. Okay. I'm giving you this time so that those of you not done with the Vietnam paper, you can finish that bad boy. Many ways you can turn it into me. The best way is Google Classroom, but you can also share it with me, email it to me, print it, give it to me. I don't care. Some of you are not done with Cold War tests. You should fix that. Otherwise, I mean, if you're finished with everything, awesome. Way to go. Okay? Rest of the hour is all yours. All right, you started? You're just starting. Yeah, you're just starting. Okay. Bottom. We're at-
Let's play it.
Oh, I am done. Two.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
I did it like, I did it Wednesday night.
Absolutely. Did you already take it twice? Yeah. So you want it.
Ready?
And
That grass is kind of like this.
No.
I broke something.